Thanks for tuning in to the Vintage Cinema Review. On this week's episode, we're covering from 2000, American Psycho.
Patrick Bateman. Was he really a serial killer, or did he just imagine all of it?
Yeah, where it's impossible to get a reservation at Dorsia, and $570 for a lunch isn't really that bad.
And thank you, the Roaring 80s.
That's right. Not that bad. This movie wasn't that bad. Actually, one of my personal favorites. I think these guys enjoy it too, but we'll find out. We hope you're enjoying our show. Speaking of which, if you are, hit that 5-star rating. Leave us a written review on Apple, on Spotify, 5-star. We'd appreciate it. And sit back, relax, and enjoy American Psycho.
Hey, Christian Bale. Is he British?
Eat lunch at the Slaughtered Lamb.
Enjoy. Hey, this is Dave.
Matt,
And Zap.
and welcome to the Vintage Cinema Review.
Where every week we review some of our favorite films from the past.
Hey, there ain't no late fees here.
Silence is golden. And be kind. Rewind.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey. I'd like to welcome you to the Vintage Cinema Review.
That's right. Welcome to the basement where we do the Vintage Cinema Review. First episode.
Welcome.
Numero uno.
So hopefully we got a lot of new followers. You're maybe not aware of our other podcast, Old Dirty Basement, but we know we have a lot of cellar dwellers that followed us over from Old Dirty Basement.
Thank you. Thank you for your patronage. Your continuing and ongoing patronage.
Yeah, welcome. There's always a spot. There's always room for you here in the basement, even though we've got the reviews going.
Yep.
Vintage type.
Yeah, we do a lot of stuff down here in the basement, and one of those things is watch old movies.
Hell yeah.
Which we love.
And we love to talk about them. And this one is one of our...
This is a newer, older. This is
Newer,
vintage from right at 2000, correct?
Still fits the definition.
Yes, 20
Yes.
years. Is that what we're saying?
I believe so. We imparted a specific definition of if it came out on VHS, it is permitted.
Yes, okay.
Yep. And I think that was around 2006, maybe, the last VHS tape.
Yep, I
somewhere
think you're
around
right.
that. So, but
So
this
this is in there.
is in there, and this is a personal favorite of mine, and I think both of you both enjoyed it.
No, for damn sure, this is one of my top fives.
Right. We decided to kick this off with one we all, really, really like and would enjoy talking about. So, yeah, this is American Psycho. Release date on this, January 21st, 2000 at Sundance, the film festival. April 14th, 2000 for the rest of the United States. And I'm assuming globally, maybe around then or after that.
Did you guys read into how it was received at Sundance? Was it a hit?
I don't know that.
I have no clue.
I just heard that. I didn't know it was released at the Sundance. I know that's a big hitter. Like some stuff, like if it's good there, it hits pretty big. If not, it's a miss. I mean, I'm sure we'll find out what it made and
Right.
all
They
that other good
say
stuff.
if it can make it there, it can make it anywhere.
That's
It's up
true,
to you,
yeah.
Sundance.
This movie, I know I went and saw it at the theater. I vividly remember who I was with and our reaction and the people around us reaction, and it wasn't the same, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So running time on this was 1 hour, 41 minutes, and it's, of course, rated R. There is an unrated version that you can find floating around. Zap has a copy, I
Yep.
believe, and I do as well.
Yep.
Unless you watch this on Freevee, which is a great streaming channel.
Is it
But
on there?
Yes, it is on Freevee,
Oh.
and it took me 3 hours to watch it.
Because of the
Because
commercials.
of the
and
commercials.
stuff.
There's like one of one. And you're like, this isn't bad. And it's like one of two. And then by the time you get into the story, it's like one of three and three of three. And
Indeed, there is a cost to freedom.
yes.
What do they advertise during that? I wonder if they tie it to the movie.
They have ones for like electric vehicles. They have stuff for like Tide.
So there were no advertisements for like axes, lawn implements.
Axe body spray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. I didn't know. Yeah, like Zab was saying.
Cutlery sets.
Yeah,
No.
that type stuff.
All right.
The Lewis
Just
compilations.
all the
that
stuff that you would buy like on TV, like stuff that they would advertise on The Price is Right.
I gotcha. I just know how they handle marketing with that. But yeah, so like I said, rated R or could be unrated. Directed by Mary Herron. And I was surprised to find out female director. I never knew that.
I had no idea.
Screenplay by Mary Herron and Guinevere Turner, based on American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis, who I just found out also wrote Less Than Zero.
That is correct.
And I did not know that. This afternoon I heard that. So produced by Edward R. Pressman, Chris Hanley, and Christian Halsey Solomon. Budget on this, $7 million. Box office, $34.3 million.
All right. I mean, so not a huge hitter, but still the juice is worth the squeeze.
Yeah,
Definitely.
you're still making money.
Hell yeah.
And this would have been a different budget, and we'll get into that later. There were some other people tied to this.
And I think this is more of a cult following now also. Like this movie is.
Absolutely,
so it's
yeah.
making more, I think, later on.
Mm-hmm.
As it gets older, it's like a fine wine.
Yep. So this movie, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, is the setting for this where they shot it. Now it's supposed to take place in New York, but majority of it, almost all of it, except some exterior shots, were in New York.
Sure.
So that's pretty much all I have for location, budget, producers, all that good stuff. I'll turn it over to Zap for the good old cast.
Yeah, absolutely. So we start out with our protagonist, Christian Bale as Patrick Bateman, Justin Theroux as Timothy Bryce, Josh Lucas as Craig McDermott, Bill Sage as David Van Patten, Chloe Sevigny as Jean, Bateman's secretary, Reese Witherspoon as Evelyn Williams, Samantha Mathis as Courtney Rawlinson, Matt Ross as Lewis Carruthers,
It's me.
Jared Leto as Paul Allen, Willem Dafoe as Donald Kimball, Kara Seymour as Christy, and Guinevere Turner as Elizabeth. I'm guessing that's the same Guinevere
Yeah,
Turner who co-wrote the screenplay.
Yeah, I just saw that. I didn't even notice that going through this earlier, but yeah.
And which one was Elizabeth? Was that the girl on the couch?
That was, they were at the Kentucky Derby, right? Is that the one?
They met at the Kentucky Derby.
Mm-hmm.
She was the girl on the couch that was trying to call her drug dealer.
Yes, and he got her all like high on goofballs.
Yep.
And then her and Christy were.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
She did a nude scene too, unless it was a stunt double. Because she was
Oh,
in
yeah.
bed.
Yeah, she was in bed.
Yeah, you could see
Boobies.
stuff going on. Yeah.
Privates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All that good stuff. This cast, looking back at it now in 2023, there's a lot of big names in this.
Oh, hell yeah.
You
Well,
know?
Jared Leto,
Jared
Yes.
Leto, huge.
Defoe, who is, I mean, one of the best.
Right.
Long time. You got Christian Bale alone.
Yes.
Dude, he was a child actor for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Reese Witherspoon, who has been in everything,
Yep.
every genre, every type of movie imaginable, and who looked cute as a button in this, by the way.
She was
Oh,
just
yeah.
Oh, my
adorbs.
goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Chloe Sevigny,
Chloe Sevigny.
Chloe
yeah.
Sevigny,
who
yeah.
was from Kids.
Kids. Mm-hmm. And she was just coming off like a big movie. I forget what it was that she had won a lot of awards and accolades for.
She did a porno movie.
Oh,
I don't
for
think it
real?
was a porno. I just think she gave like actual head.
She did.
On a rated R movie.
Okay.
Yes,
I read.
I do
Some kind
remember that now.
Rabbit is in the name.
Yeah.
Purple Rabbit, something.
Peter Rabbit?
No, you're thinking of Jojo Rabbit. I
No.
don't think that was it.
That's not it. That's
Peter
the,
Rabbit.
That's the Hitler movie.
Oh,
Anyways,
the rabbit.
Reese Witherspoon and Josh Lucas, who plays Craig McDermott, those two went on to do Sweet Home Alabama together.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
And Matt Ross, actually, best friend growing up, kid named Matt Ross.
Yeah.
And then later on, I had a best friend whose name kind of rhymes with that.
Oh,
Wow,
So,
Matt
yeah.
Ross. Was it really a Matt Ross?
Yes.
That's awesome.
That's my,
not a Bob Ross, but a Matt Ross.
Matt Ross. Yep.
That's
That was my,
fascinating.
growing up as a little kid, lived across the street. Shout out to Matt if he listens. I don't know if he does, but yeah, we were good buddies growing up.
Matt Ross, he was in, actually both him and Chloe Sevigny were in the HBO show about
Silicon Valley.
No.
Oh,
About the multiple
marriage
wives.
Yes, Sister Wives.
Yeah.
Or Sister Wives Club.
No, the one where they're out with Bill Paxton.
Big Love. was
Big
the
Love.
Big Love.
That was actually a pretty good show. I didn't see every season of that, but I saw episodes, and it was not bad.
But to your point, Matt Ross was in fact
Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley. Hooli.
Hooli, yeah, he was the CEO, right? Yeah. That's what I recognize him from. But yeah, quite a cast, a lot of talent there. So I guess we'll turn it over to Matt for the old synopsis.
Yes, a brief synopsis of the movie American Psycho. Smart and scary, says the Village Voice. Patrick Bateman is a young, handsome, Harvard-educated Wall Street success, seemingly perfect with his stunning fiancée and entourage of high-powered friends. But his circle of friends doesn't know the other Patrick Bateman, the one who lusts for more than the status of material things. With a detective, Willem Dafoe, hot on his trail and temptation everywhere, Patrick Bateman can't fight the terrible urges that take him on the pursuit of women, greed, and the ultimate crime, murder. Based on the controversial book by Bret Easton Ellis, American Psycho is a sexy thriller that sets forth a vision that is both terrifying and chilling. Smart. Scary.
All of that.
Psychotic.
Yep. Yeah, so
Well, that was pretty good.
yeah, it was good. Good synopsis.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I saw this movie in the theater with a good friend of mine and my wife at the time. We were dating and his girlfriend. I'll never forget. We sat in a row, like it was me, then my wife, his girlfriend, and then him. We were like separated.
Yeah, you got to put the
in
girls
between.
together. Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect when I went to see this movie. I was expecting like a horror movie. I knew nothing about it. At that time, me and the friend I was with were way into 80s. Like at that time, like I don't think the 80s were really as people were as nostalgic as they are now.
Right.
But like we loved 80s music. We watched 80s movies. And we loved this movie. I remember like they were getting so annoyed because we kept like cutting in front of them, like looking at each other, laughing, during the whole movie. We just loved it. But the people in the theater, I don't think they really like were reacting and liked it as much as like
not getting it or just didn't.
I don't know how well this, like for that theater we were in, it didn't have like a reaction. I don't think that people were like getting it as much, like the humor in it and stuff like that. Maybe I was just I don't know.
You were in the zone, man. Like,
yeah.
If you were picking up what they were putting down that easily.
Well, I took it as a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked his whole personality and the way Christian Bale was. Like I loved the movie when I first saw it, never expecting it to become what it was, just because the girlfriends at the time hated it. They're like, this is the worst movie ever.
That doesn't surprise me.
No.
Well, like you were saying, I think there was confusion between, I guess, different types of crowds, whether it was a actual comedy, was it a psychotic thriller, or was it a horror movie?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of different ways to interpret it. But I think that's a cool thing about this movie is I think it's all left up to your interpretation of how you see the movie.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I never took this movie as a comedy. Not at all.
I mean,
Not even a dark comedy.
Not even. I mean, I took it as a horror or a thriller or a whatever kind of movie like that had some funny one-liners.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Bateman's delivery of his just subtle sarcasm that he throws out there, like, that's the part that at best is comedic.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I mean, I look at this as a thriller, a killer, a slasher type movie.
We would just laugh at the parts where,
his quotes
or just
Zappa saying the delivery.
it would be all the parts where he's talking in his head. Every time he was talking in his head, we would look at each other and start laughing because it was just like, I want to say like you liked the guy, but we did kind of think he was funny. Like he actually was a likable character. Some of the stuff he was saying and stuff like that, like we were like laughing at it. Like, oh, this guy, I don't want to say he's cool, but it was almost like,
I remember seeing this in the theaters too, and so I went out with a buddy of mine to go see this movie. We just had time on our hands. Like, dude, this movie came out. Let's go see it. Looks kind of cool. So went out to see it, and then I went back to see it like 3 more times alone, just over and over and over again. I loved his character, just because I should say I wanted to be that character. Like I'm very early in my professional career. I would have done anything to be, in the city, on Wall Street, investment banking, all of that shit. Like that was just a dream job for anybody. So I certainly didn't idolize or look at his killing.
That's
Just the way he lived.
His lifestyle was damn. I wanted that so badly.
Which I think they portrayed that spot on in the movie, like how it would be in the 80s to be that young. What is he, 26, 27?
Yep.
To have that kind of money, to live in the places they lived, and to just have that kind of success that young is something that would be, like you said, something to look at and be like, wow, this really happened.
I guess it'd be like any like horror movie. Like you sometimes the villain, you kind of root for him, or you like, not say root for him, but you like that person on the screen. You're like kind of not rooting for him, but you're like, that's my favorite part when he's on the screen, and that's just kind of my experience with it.
Well,
but
I think, Bateman was, he said that the way he tried to act this out was like not real. Like he based his character on just this being so unrealistic to have anything like this truly be real. That's kind of how he like portrayed himself as Patrick Bateman.
So I guess we'll let Zap steer us through the old plot.
Sure. Happy to do so.
All right.
Let's get this train a-rolling.
Let's do it. So it's the late 80s. The economy is rolling strong. We're introduced to a group of young investment bankers in New York City. Within this group is Patrick Bateman, the protagonist of this movie. His story is conveyed like a present tense stream of consciousness narrative. It is, essentially, a day in the life of Patrick Bateman. Patrick, like his colleagues, doesn't seem to do much work. Instead, he and his crowd of yuppies spend their time wining and dining, clubbing and hobnobbing, and trying to outdo one another at the most trivial things: apartments, clothing, even business cards.
I like how they were obsessed with Dorsia, the restaurant.
The restaurant.
Indeed.
Which is mentioned many times. And I think it was first mentioned right in the beginning, like, oh, this place is for chicks. We should have went to Dorsia.
Yeah.
But one thing that I was mad about in this movie is that we never, like, I can only picture this Dorsia place in my mind. And kind of upset me. I wish they showed.
Oh, they never actually showed Dorsey.
No, they never
I just hear
actually,
about it.
because nobody could get in. Paul Allen was in it once, I believe.
Yeah, he was the only one that I know
Yeah.
that got in there.
But he never explains it. It's never, you can't see it.
It's a fantasy to all.
It is.
Well, as we learn more about Patrick, we find out that his outlook on humanity is rather grim. None of the aforementioned colleagues are friends of his. Patrick doesn't have any friends as far as we know. All we know is that Patrick is full of himself and cares only about himself. And he not only has no problem murdering, he actually thrives on it. The first murder we see is that of a bum named Al and his dog.
Yeah, that was brutal. It
Yeah.
was kind of, I think the first time watching it, it was unexpected, I'm sure.
Totally didn't see that coming out of nowhere.
No.
No.
Get a goddamn job, Al.
Yeah.
But was that an actual murder?
Shit, yeah.
Do you think? I don't know.
In his head, or is it real? Yeah, at this point.
Well, that's
I don't
as
know.
you watch the movie, but like I think that was one of his first. That I think that might have been actually a kill, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you guys are thinking?
That's 100% a kill. He
Okay.
killed the bum. He stabbed the shit out
Yeah,
of him.
I've
Oh,
seen
yeah.
that. Yeah,
And then he stabbed a dog and then stomped the dog.
Stomped it
why don't
out.
you get a job?
And just so our listeners know, a yuppie is what? Young urban professional? Is that what that is?
Something like that.
Yeah, it's
So
like
young-
a
yeah,
term.
young.
I haven't heard that term in years.
Yeah.
Like I remember that was in the
That's an
80s.
80s
That was
term.
an 80s term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you had dudes like our dads that were like hardworking types, like had mustaches and like longer hair,
Yeah.
and then you had like
Those guys.
yuppie types,
Yeah.
where they're like, oh, that guy's driving a Mercedes. Look at that yuppie.
So Wall Street, the movie came out around this time that this is set, correct?
Yes,
In the
correct.
80s, yeah. So
Absolutely correct.
not seen Wall Street, still haven't watched it. Is
God,
that,
dude, come on, man. Get out from under that rock.
did they like the styles and stuff? Is it would that be one that you would say was close
Same.
to same thing?
Same,
Okay.
100%. What
Okay.
you saw in this movie, you would have seen in Wall Street.
In Wall Street.
So yeah, this was also what 1987. 87. They were all sitting around, four guys eating lunch,
Yep.
and the bill was $570.
Yep.
So yeah,
They're
Oh,
like,
yeah,
not-
pretty reasonable.
Yeah, not bad. And they all threw in their American Express.
Well, so there's another great example. So one of the things of this, when you see this guy, you really start seeing his personality come out. He goes to a club and he orders 2 Stolies on the rocks. That's $25. So, damn.
yeah,
that's not even $25
back then.
today.
In 87.
Yeah, you two Stoli on the rocks now at like a regular club. That's like $14, maybe $7 each, 8.
yeah.
Even if it's 20, it's still, you're talking like 30 years later.
Yeah, that is.
Craziness.
Living in the big city.
Craziness. Let's see. To his, and the way he talks to his secretary is great. So she's wearing these frumpy outfits, right? She has been. She's mild mannered.
Right.
This is the Chloe Sevigny's character.
She is hot though.
She's just wearing
she got-
pantsuits and shit.
But she's still cute.
She was cute-ish.
Yeah.
Anyway, he tells her, he's like, "Look, don't wear those clothes. You're
way too good.
Way too
you're
pretty.
far better than that.
Yeah.
You're also and high heels.
Yeah.
Awesome." Did anyone notice that he was looking up to this point? He was actually leafing through the Zagat guide, the little book.
For the restaurants.
Restaurants
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah,
Do they still make the Zagat guides?
I don't. It might be online or something. I don't know.
I'm sure it's not in paper form anymore.
Yeah.
It's all online.
The little brown book.
Yeah, they don't have those.
Yeah.
They don't have many books anymore.
Everything,
Except
like I
in the
said, most
library.
stuff's online, like moved to online, even the newspapers and stuff and different things. Everything's online on magazines,
Yeah, you're hard up to get the press and journal anymore.
That's another thing I was thinking about. This movie came out in 2000, takes place in 87. That's 13 years. For whatever reason, in 2000, that seemed like even I remember in 2000, 87 was so long ago. But you think about now, if they made this movie 2010 and the world wouldn't be that much different. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right.
It just seems like the music, everything was just so much different from 87 to 2000,
Versus
2010 to 2023.
right.
Good point.
Everything stopped because everybody got stupid because everybody just taps glass and
On
looks at
the
their
phone.
phone. That's all people do anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, there's no time for conversation because everybody has their own life
Right.
on their phone.
Right.
It's crazy.
So I had mentioned that, these guys they continue to try to outdo one another with, the most trivial of things. within this section of the movie, this was the infamous everyone comparing their business cards.
I love it.
It is. It's so the one guy's that's Bone. That's actually Bateman. He pulls out his card. That's Bone. The other one, who was it? David Van Patten, played by Bill Sage. He's the next one to pull out his card. He's like eggshell with Romalian type.
Yeah.
Another one pulls out his card, pale nimbus.
And they're all almost the same. You know what I mean? There's like,
Oh my! It's a fucking business
But
card.
no, like the subtle differences is, I think that's like, it shows his character, like the way his mind works is little, because everybody else was like cool and like just like, oh, check out this card,
Right.
Like, yeah, that's cool, man. I dig it. Yeah, here's this. But he's like, are you okay, Jason or Patrick? Like, why are you sweating? Like, what's wrong?
But that's so he goes nuts when he sees Paul Allen's card.
Oh,
the best. Yeah, the best.
It was the best of the best. And did anyone like? Maybe it's just me, but Jared Leto's character Paul Allen looked strikingly
exactly
similar
like him.
to Patrick Bateman.
Same hairstyle.
They
same
all
glasses.
looked alike.
Yeah.
And it was funny during the whole.
It was the hairstyle, really.
Yeah.
But during the whole movie, it was actually Paul Allen who, like, Bateman's character just couldn't stand. Christian Bale's character couldn't stand this Paul Allen guy, and he didn't even know who Bateman was.
He kept calling him by the wrong name.
Yeah, he called him the wrong person the whole movie.
That whole thing with the names and everybody messes up everybody's names. I wonder if that was. I think you can take it so many different ways. Did they do that because, like Zap said, they all kind of look alike in some ways, so they're just interchangeable, or was it the confusion in his head and what he hears and what they? You know,
I have a thought on that I'm
save for the end.
I'll just end it with it when we get there
Get
because
to
we're
there.
going to
Okay.
go through it so much.
Right. Well, real quick while we're going, this is part of the fun facts, but I'm sure you guys know about the business cards, right?
About what?
The like stuff that was wrong on them.
Oh, no.
Misspelled. They were all vice presidents except Patrick Bateman. And then there was a lot of misspellings on
Like the Pierce and Pierce.
Pierce. The spacing was wrong. There's all kinds of like things that are wrong on the business card. Even the name on the one was like off-centered. So I'm sure it was intentionally done.
Which is funny how Bateman's character was supposed to be like his dad was one of the ones that ran the company, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So, and it also showed that, like you said, these guys didn't really do much work. He did no work
None.
at all.
Just none. These
He
guys.
scribbled around and made dates for lunch
Yep.
and dinner.
That's it.
That's it.
These guys got their master's degrees at wherever they got them.
Harvard, Yale.
Yep. And then they got their jobs.
That was it.
All right. So back to the movie.
I think you said we're too stolly on the rocks.
We're definitely too stolly on the rocks in. We're way past that now. So back to the movie. While at a Christmas party, Patrick runs into the equivalent of his nemesis, Paul Allen, with whom he makes plans for dinner. All the while, Paul has mistaken Patrick for someone else, Marcus Halberstram.
That's it.
Yeah.
On the night of the dinner, after a number of drinks, Paul is lured back to Patrick's apartment. There, Paul is murdered, his body is disposed of, and Patrick takes every step to make it look as though Paul has departed on a trip to London.
Yeah, that part where he comes over and says, Marcus, if you notice in the background, the actual Marcus turns around and looks. Like he hears his name called out.
No shit.
Yeah. So
Yeah, Reese Witherspoon was too. Like, why is he calling you Marcus?
right. But
Yeah.
if you look over, I think it's over Bateman's shoulder.
This is at the Christmas party.
Yes.
Okay.
And you see Marcus turn around like somebody call my name, and then he goes back to his conversation.
All right. So I did see that. I thought you had said it was, or for whatever reason, when you had said that, I thought it was at the restaurant.
No. This is at the Christmas party.
Got it.
And I have a song ticker on my thing here. The True Life song by New Order was played at the club.
Yep.
And at this time, Walking on Sunshine, when he was going into the office.
Yep. First. Yep.
Yes, that was a good time. And that was just the first two big 80s hits I
Dude,
had.
this soundtrack kicked ass.
Yes, that's
awesome,
what
yeah.
I kept a soundtrack ticker.
Hell yeah.
On my little notes.
Nice.
So I'll be throwing them in.
Do it.
as we go along.
Absolutely do it.
And I was telling Matt before we started recording that New Order song was played on the Luca Magnotta, the
Yes.
True Crime that we
Yep.
did over in the Old Dirty Basement. So guys, don't forget to go over and check out Old Dirty Basement True Crime. Look up the Luca Magnotta case that we covered. This film in general inspired that guy to do a lot of the shit that he did. Well, I should say is one of his favorite movies, and he loved that song from watching this movie.
That's awesome. So there's a quote in this movie when Bateman's there getting a facial from whomever,
Facial.
some kind of Asian woman. Mr. Bateman, your skin is so fine,
Yeah.
so smooth. I, to this day, will just say, So smooth.
So smooth.
Dude, on the weirdest things, like, oh, this, paperclip, so smooth.
So smooth.
Thanks to that. It's just weird. So it's interesting. So Patrick, like, just hates Paul Allen, like, loathes and despises.
Yes, cannot stand the guy.
Not just because of those superior business cards, I think, but more so because of his ability to get that reservation at Dorsia. Like,
Yes.
that is the hater.
Yes.
What was the account that he had? They kept saying he's got this account.
The something account. How did you get the
Jefferson
Oh,
account.
the Fisher.
Fisher account.
Yep,
That's the
yeah.
one too. Yeah.
So he hates him for that too. So overall, he hates him really, I think, for making more money than him.
right.
Well, yeah, he is a vice president of the company that his dad is one of the
Partners or whatever.
but his dad knows he can't do shit. So
Right.
his dad's like, I can only give you so much and
Somebody's
make
responsibility.
$300,000 a year. I'm
Right.
sorry. This is all I can do for you.
yeah.
Right.
He's still running a business, man.
Look, business is business.
Yes.
So at this point, Matt, surely hip to be square hit your ticker.
Actually, before that, it was Simply Irresistible by Robert Palmer.
In the cab.
Yes,
Oh,
in the
shit.
cab,
That's
bro.
right. That's right.
And then next would be
Hip to Be Square.
Hip to be square.
That was another part that I remember us laughing because he's there listening to Robert Palmer and the fiance Reese Witherspoon's trying to talk to him. He's like, my fiance is like,
I'm trying to listen to the new.
Yeah, trying to listen to the new Robert Palmer, and she's chirping in my ear the whole time.
He's like, is that Donald Trump's car?
Yeah.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
I didn't even catch that.
No, because she wants to get married.
Yeah.
Oh.
He just changes the topic immediately. And so, speaking of Trump, so while he's at dinner with Paul Allen, while Bateman and Allen are at dinner, he looks over because it's dead in there. Nobody's there. But this is the
that's
only
right,
place
yes.
that Bateman can get reservations.
And Paul
It's
Allen's
just
like, we
these
should have went to Dorsia.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I could have gotten us a res. He turns around and says, "Is that Ivanka Trump?"
Yeah.
He's
I
like,
do
oh,
remember
why
that
would
part.
why would she be here?
Yeah.
And he keeps on like up these like things because he took him to the shittiest place he could because he thought he was Halberstream or whatever.
Well, that and maybe he didn't want people to see him with.
Well, yeah.
you
Makes sense.
Yeah, because if
But
he's
he's
an alibi,
like the mud soup is quite exquisite or something like that. Like what the hell is he talking about?
yeah,
The New York Times called it playful.
yeah.
Let's see. Oh, of course, he changed it once. So murder's done. Goes back to Paul Allen's apartment, and you hear his inner voicing. Paul Allen's apartment is far superior to mine. All this.
Yeah,
that,
you
the other
couldn't
thing.
stand it.
I love that. Yeah, I love that part.
Changing the answering machine frantically, right? So he's grabbing an overnight or a suitcase, throws a suit or two in there, throws a shirt or two in there just to make it look like he's the guy left. Changes the answering machine tape and off he goes. Like, isn't somebody going to say that's not Paul Allen's voice?
Yeah, the voice.
He tried, I guess.
He did. He tried well. But then again, that whole part was in his mind. If you go towards the end of the movie, like this is stuff that he just thought would be like the coolest thing.
Maybe.
Maybe.
And that's where Huey Lewis was the 87 4 album was brought up.
True.
Yes.
But
And he puts the raincoat on and he obviously axes him, but the moonwalk he does
That was
his apartment
improvised,
was
right?
badass. Was it?
Yeah, they said it was improvised.
is that a raincoat? Why, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, Paul. It is.
Oh, and did you guys notice during that whole part where he was in the bathroom and he took those pills? Did you get that?
It had his name on it.
Yeah, it
Patrick
just had his
Bateman.
name on it. Didn't say what kind of pills because I paused it. It's just it
It was
says
New York Pharmacy and it had Bateman, Patrick.
Yes.
That was it.
So you didn't know what they were, but those were his pills for his psychosis.
Yep.
Were they?
Maybe
They
a
would have
nerve.
had to have been, right? Or don't you think? Because I think that's why he was taking them because I think he was gone like in the moment.
Yeah, it could
And
be.
I think that's why this thing was like because he couldn't stand this guy so much. Like he had to go home and deal with the fact that he was right there calling him the wrong name the whole time.
Yeah.
It's driving him nuts.
Yeah,
You
driving
don't
him
even know
nuts.
who
And this
I
is
am.
like this is all going through his mind at this time. He's like, man, just popping pills. He's like, I just need this shit right now.
Yeah. Well, within days of Paul Allen's disappearance, Patrick is visited by private investigator Donald Kimball.
Before that, the Lady in Red song was playing before Mr. Kimball came in.
Simply Red.
Yes, by Simply
There's
Red.
a
Oh,
Simply
shit.
Red.
That's right.
Lady in Red.
That's
I don't know.
right.
That's not Simply Red. Simply Red was also, that's coming up.
It's coming up later.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was, in fact,
That was the
Lady in Red.
Remind me too with this music. There's two songs that I think, if you listen to the lyrics, connect to the scenes. and
Oh,
stuff.
sure.
So we'll talk about it later. Don't let me forget though.
All right. Absolutely.
Yes, Detective Kimball is popping in.
Unfazed by the visit, Patrick engages two prostitutes that night who ultimately depart after a rough night of sex and torture. The next day, Patrick finds himself nearly killing another coworker in the men's room over his jealousy of his business cards. That night, while out with one of his coworkers, Patrick picks up a model and ultimately kills her and keeps her head in his freezer. The next night, with his bloodlust running high, Patrick invites his secretary to his apartment.
Now, this was
The
Simply
fiance
Red.
saved her life.
Yeah.
Right.
But If You Don't Know Me By Now was playing when he got to his apartment with the prostitutes.
Yep.
That's a Simply Red song.
Yep.
Okay, so
I mean, this is a ton of shit just went down right now.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
think about the music. So that's what I wanted to get back to. So now you just said that, that's another song, a third one. So when he's in the club with the girl you're talking about, the model,
Yep.
they're playing Information Society, Pure Energy.
Yep.
What's the actual title of that? I think I had it here.
I just knew it as Pure Energy.
I want to know.
What you're thinking. Tell me what's on your mind.
There's some things you can't hide.
Right.
I want to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's whatever.
But during the part, if you're still going on that, I was going to say about the part with the prostitutes where he went through the whole Phil Collins,
Right.
the whole thing with, he goes, Phil Collins, he says, invisible touch, land of confusion, in too deep, in the air tonight, and against all odds. But he's like, my favorite is Susudio.
Studio. So anyway, that information is what's on your mind. There are some things you can't hide
Yeah.
and all that. So I was thinking about him with that girl, and she's like, there's something kind about you or something in your eye, you know, but that song, I'm thinking, because I listened to it on the way home from work, and I was thinking about, as I played the soundtrack, some of the songs, and I'm like, man, that song, if you think about it, that point of the movie, what's on your mind, what you're thinking, you know, I was just trying to tie it to him. Like, I'm wondering if they picked some of the songs maybe for that, you know what I mean? To tie it to like, what's on his mind,
Sure.
and this and that, and the other song we'll get to when we get there.
That was the Pump Up the Volume.
No. This is the one, Information Society, when he was in the club with that girl.
Yeah, but
This is the same girl to whom she says, oh, so what are you into? And he's, murders and executions.
Yeah. And he
She's
took
like-
a locket of her hair, that one, the next day.
Yeah.
That was so weird. He's just playing with it with his sunglasses on as the secretary comes in.
But see, that whole thing too, like what was that, her hair? Was that
Who knows?
her head? Because that apartment, I don't know, is strange.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, Jesus. I mean, so Detective Kimball comes in to visit him. He's like, it was that whole Yale thing. He explains to the detective, what do you mean that whole Yale thing? Well, I think he was a closet homosexual.
A lot of cocaine.
Did a lot of cocaine. You know, that whole Yale thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Detective Kimball, like Willem Dafoe's character, just like, okay.
Yeah. Dave, you and I have talked about this a couple of times with regard to Ed Gein. So the four guys are sitting around. Patrick Bateman and his three coworkers are sitting around, and Patrick Bateman says, "Hey, do you guys know Ed Gein?" And the response from the one guy is like, "Is that the maitre d' at the Canal Bar?"
Yeah. Everything revolves around restaurants with these guys.
Yeah. So in any event, he went on to quote him and say, "So Ed Gein, when he looks at a woman, he thinks two things.
Yes.
One part of me wants to talk to her, take her out, treat her right. And the guy says, well, what did the other part of Ed say? He said, what her head would look like on a stick.
Yeah.
But see, that was a misquote. Actually.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
That was what, Edmund Kemper, is that who it was?
Yeah.
Yep. So that's like this whole movie is like confused, and it's just like the movie, they're confusing each other's names, like who's who, and the whole thing, I think it just all
But even at
ties together.
at the club where him and his friend go in, because I guess in the 80s it was cool to go into the bathroom and do cocaine with it. Like there was no men's women's room. Like everybody just went to any bathroom.
It's still cool. It's as cool as it was then.
Yeah. Well, even
guess I
To be clear, cocaine hasn't gone away.
No, it hasn't. But I don't think it's as big or as looked upon as it was in the 80s, maybe.
Well, even the very first scene when they're out in the very beginning at the table, the first scene where the four guys are sitting around and the guy comes back and he's like, "Can't do coke in this bathroom,"
can't
or
do-
something. Makes
yeah.
a comment about it's
not a good
bathroom.
bathroom to do coke in.
coke in, so their whole thing revolves around that.
Yeah.
But his one friend starts like freaking out, like yelling at the guy at the next stall. And he's like, relax, man. It's about and he's like, sorry, dude, steroids.
Steroids, and he's small.
Yeah. So these dudes are just on like anything, like any type of drug they can get their hand on is like fun.
I liked, so of course, as he killed Paul Allen, Huey Lewis is playing in the background. Hip to be square.
Yes.
And then when Kimball comes to visit him, Kimball pulls out that CD and he shows it to him. He said, Huey Lewis,
Yeah.
like, what do you think? And, Bateman's like,
Never heard it.
Huey's too black sounding,
Sounding for me, yeah.
Which is, we were talking about that earlier.
Well, also that part, if you notice in that scene, he kind of reflects the light
Yeah,
in his
you can
eyes.
see it shining,
So
yeah.
there's people that say that there's a thing, if you look it up on psychopaths, that they don't have natural reaction to unpleasant things like that. If you got like light shine in your eyes, a normal person would squint or like look away. They said psychopaths don't react like that. And they were saying that a private investigator was maybe testing him to see how he would react to it. So he reacted like a psychopath. He just stood there with a blank stare and didn't even squint or anything.
But he also said, like, I'm not. He's like, you're not into music. He's like, no, not at all.
And I've never heard Huey Lewis described as sounding black. Like
that's what was funny about it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, that was so, like, I could see Bobby Caldwell or somebody like that I've heard. You know, I'd be like, I always thought Bobby Caldwell. You know that song, the Bobby Caldwell song.
Was that the? What's Bobby Caldwell?
If you might not even know, you might think the guy that sings it's black, but it's a white dude.
I know Bobby Caldwell. He's a jazz singer.
Yeah. What you won't do for love?
What you won't do for love.
For all those years, I thought it was a black dude. I never knew until like a year ago. I never knew that.
I thought it was a black dude too.
Yeah, it's him there.
Well, look what I learned today.
Yeah.
He's like Huey Lewis in the news.
Yep.
Huey Lewis is in the news.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Oh, Patrick has quite the assortment of weapons at his house. So he's talking to the secretary as she's over there. He walks over to his cabinets, and I mean, in there you see a chainsaw, 5 rolls of duct tape, and a nail gun, for Christ's sake. I mean, this guy's ready to kill.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, in yet another meeting with Detective Kimball, Bateman is relieved to learn that someone has corroborated an alibi for him relative to the Paul Allen murder. Someone who, in a reversed fashion of Paul, mistook someone else for being Bateman. That night, with no fear of Paul Allen issue, Patrick engages one of his previous hookers to go with him to Paul Allen's apartment, where they and a friend of Patrick's engage in a menage a trois that's not going to end well. The next day, Patrick ends his engagement with his fiancée.
Now, go ahead.
So that was the girl then that menage a trois was the girl that he met at the Kentucky Derby.
Correct.
We were talking about. Is that where they were playing the song "If You Don't Know Me by Now"?
Yes.
So there again. So you said that he knew that girl, you know, and he's like saying, "If you don't know me by now, you'll never ever know me." Like, I'm a serial killer, basically. So I'm starting to think these songs tied to like the scene and probably
They
what's
have
going
to.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I never really know stuff you don't notice unless you break down a movie and start thinking about it.
That's
Also in that, go ahead.
No, please.
No, he brought up Whitney Houston and went on a
Correct.
whole thing, and then the girl's like laughing at me.
Just running
you
it.
have a Whitney Houston CD?
More than one?
Yeah. And he's like, well, she had 4 number 1 hits.
Yeah.
And he's like, but not as like the greatest love of all. And he just goes into
Goes
this.
on and
Yeah.
on.
So this is, this was a weird as hell scene. So they're all three just laying there, and I'm sorry, not laying there. They're doing their thing, and Christy sneaks out of bed, but he's still there with his friend. I forget her name.
Friendly lady.
The one he met at the Kentucky Derby.
Mm-hmm.
And he ends up killing her while they're laying in the bed, while he's doing things with her, like he's just killing her.
You can see the blood.
Yeah, it's coming through the sheets.
Mm-hmm.
So Christy runs away, and he ends up chasing it. Now she's banging on the apartment. Number one, she can't even figure out how to get out of the
Out of
apartment.
place, yeah.
But then two, once she finally gets out, you see him chasing after her with sneakers on. Like, so he's naked as hell. All he has is sneakers on and a chainsaw, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, that was wild.
Did you see earlier when he was watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was, I think, all part in his mind again.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like, this would be great. Like I could get a chainsaw. But there's no way in the real scheme of the world that he could have done that.
That's the part where I think where you go, this is in this dude's head by this point, because how does nobody hear that? Nobody wakes up. Nobody, you just wonder at that point. It's like, maybe this is in his head, but we all have theories on it, I guess.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I'd like to close out this segment, at least from my end. I know I loved when he broke up with Reese Witherspoon at that restaurant. So they're sitting there and she's just going on and on talking about whatever. And he's just talking to, look, Evelyn, I'm sorry. You're just not terribly important to me.
Yeah, he was pretty
She's
raw.
like, but I have to be. And he's like, well, we just won't hang out anymore. But she's like, all our friends are
the same,
or they're all my. And he's like,
you can have them.
Yeah, he's like, you can have them. I don't need your friends.
Again, I said it earlier. I don't think he has any friends. Like, he doesn't look at people as friends.
No.
Also, where are you going? But where are you going? I have to return some videotapes.
That was it. That was
his shtick.
It's his line. Yeah. I'm gonna start
Can we
using
use that? Yeah,
at the end
on the Vintage Cinema.
Hey, we'll catch you next week. I got to return some videotapes.
Yeah, I like that.
Also, during that scene, he's sketching the murder scene.
Yeah. The body's in blue and the blood's in red.
Yeah, so it's like he's probably imagining that as he's coloring. This movie just gets you all over the place. I mean, it really does.
But there's so many theories on what actually did happen. And the whole Davis thing, I don't know if we are getting into that or going to talk about that
At some point, yeah.
But that was all part of their saying too when when they were saying Bateman was with all them guys for the, did we get into the alibi yet or anything like that?
Oh
or?
yeah, we've got his alibi's rock solid.
Yes, but that's the whole thing. Was he actually, him as Davis was the one that was committing all these murders, or because the Bateman guy was there and he's like, well, I wasn't.
I think it's when I had mentioned it was like a reverse of what Paul Allen did to him. So Paul Allen mistook him for that, whatever the guy's last name was.
Yeah, Marcus.
Halberstram.
Marcus Halberstram. So as Paul Allen did that, someone else mistook somebody else to be Patrick Bateman.
Yep.
That's how he had this rock solid alibi. So he wasn't there with this group of dudes, but somebody saw this group of dudes and mistook one of those dudes as being Patrick Bateman, when in reality, Patrick Bateman at the time, the real Patrick Bateman, was out killing Paul Allen.
Please stand up.
Yeah.
But then another thing that I read is the whole thing with the Davis is somebody that Davis killed was this Bateman guy, but his dad, he grew up as a Davis and wanted to, like, with his dad and everything like that, and took on this Patrick Bateman character. And like, cause people didn't know his dad, you know how like old money is, like his dad had the company, his dad maybe passed away or whatever, gave it to him, but he used this Bateman. It might have been somebody that he killed or somebody that he just took on this.
Took their identity.
Yeah, their identity. And they're saying that could have been what this Bateman character was also. Because the whole thing with him and his attorney at the end just made, like, I watched it twice. I was like, I still didn't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. But
Thank you. It made no sense.
Let's see if we get, I just think that, well, we'll get there.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. All right, so at this point, Patrick is officially and fully unhinged. A rampage ensues. From trying to feed a cat into an ATM, to shooting an innocent bystander, a janitor, and a security guard, to shooting policemen and blowing up their cars, to ultimately hiding in his office and phoning his attorney to give a full confession, it looks as though Patrick's world is collapsing around him. But somehow, some way, the day ends and morning follows. And that next morning, Patrick goes to Paul Allen's apartment to clean up the mess he's made, only to find that it's since been completely cleaned, whitewashed, and is now for sale.
Yeah. So that's a part there where I think you can flip it back the other way and go, well, maybe they're covering, like maybe it did.
Correct.
You know,
that's absolutely correct. So I will agree wholeheartedly that whole chainsaw thing, that seems a little outlandish, a little far-fetched. I mean, it was 3-something in the morning.
right.
Or far later, I'm sorry, because probably the next morning, like the sun is coming up.
Yeah,
more.
it's like 6 o'clock in the morning.
But when he goes to that Paul Allen's apartment and that thing is spick and span, whitewashed, clean, the paint rollers are still in the closet where bodies are supposed to be.
Right.
So
That's why
are
he's
cans
looking
of
through.
paint.
Yeah, everywhere.
Like, so, and that thing he gets from that realtor, she knows, she
Something's
for
up.
damn sure knows that this guy's here and isn't supposed to be. And she's like, I didn't put an ad in the Times.
Yeah, that's the part.
Yeah, she's like, are you my 7 o'clock?
Yeah, my 2 o'clock.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the Times thing gave him away.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some that say because of the real estate, the prices are, it's like you make so much money on it. Let's just cover this up because we don't need it getting out. There was murders here. Or,
That's what I read also,
Yeah.
is they did that a lot because there would be a murder and they're like, well, this place is
Got to clean it up.
$4,500 a month or whatever.
Probably more than that. Yeah.
So it's interesting in New York when you hear apartment, it's infrequent. No, I shouldn't say it is infrequent, but people buy apartments.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like buying. You would say it's like buying a condo, but you can buy the apartment.
Mm-hmm. Then you own it, and then you just pay, like we do here for what do you call it, homeowners.
Sure.
You know what I mean, that
Yeah.
type stuff.
There's going to be common area maintenance
Common
fees.
area. Yeah.
Like you got to keep the elevator up. You got to pay somebody to clean the building. You got to pay for security. You got to do whatever.
I'm sure Brooklyn Brian could give us some info on that.
Yeah.
Growing up there.
I also did read on that part where he, with the cat and the police and the shooting, and he goes and he's in his office and the helicopter's going, shining the light in there, and he's making this confession. He's telling his attorney all this shit, like all the stuff that he's like, I'm a sick guy, and I think that's where he's admitting too, like I am sick, like I'm psychotic, like I can't control this. But then it's like, are these killings real? Are they in your mind?
Yeah.
Is it 20, 40 people? I mean, he don't even know how many people he killed. Could have been.
He don't even know.
He could have
You don't
really
even
killed
know.
like 10 and thought he killed 40, or he could have killed none. And I don't know.
Did we touch on the part? I don't remember if we talked about it at the beginning when he shot the cop car and it blew up.
Yeah.
And he looks at the gun,
It's a Glock.
a Glock, but he's looking at it like,
How did it do that?
That
Yeah.
shouldn't do that.
Right. A gun should not. Yeah. A bullet from a gun should not blow up a car.
It was very
Right.
Simpson-esque.
Right.
So that's where
That's
you're,
right.
yeah, that's where you're just like, okay, Yeah, something like then he's maybe realizing, oh, this isn't right. Am I dreaming it, or is it? And the ATM, when's an ATM ever said that on the screen?
Well, of course. So he's certainly psychotic at that point. Like
Right.
the ATM doesn't read "Feed me a cat."
Also,
Feed me a stray cat.
Also, the narration stopped at some point of the, and I wanted to go back and find out where it stopped.
You're saying his inner monologue?
Yeah, where we would hear it as an audience.
I mean, it picks up at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, does he talk again at the end?
At the very end.
That's right. You're right.
Oh, yeah.
When he's sitting at the restaurant after made this
okay.
confession.
Yeah, you're right. He did, but in between there was like a long air, where he wasn't talking.
I think maybe the talking in the beginning or in the earlier parts of the movie is really more just for character
To
development.
build it, yeah.
Yeah, so you're
Through
learning
his
more.
routine is
You're learning more and more about the Patrick Bateman.
Makes
his
sense.
vicious shower routine and workout routine.
That was cool,
Yeah, he has a lot of fancy creams and lotions.
Yes.
right?
Many. At this point, Patrick is completely dumbfounded as to how his life is able to continue as it has been.
When he does make that confession to his lawyer,
Yeah.
who was the name of the director of this movie?
Mary Herron or whatever.
Yes. She said that he is actually what she saw, and it could be interpreted however people watch the movie, was that she was actually saying this and that people would think it's so ridiculous that a person that would have that kind of money and that kind of success, like somebody with that kind of money wouldn't do something like that. So he could pretty much admit and be wholehearted about, like, I killed these people, do something, help me. And they would laugh it off
Sure.
because of just who he
Who he
is.
is.
He's like,
In New York.
It's so impossible.
Impossible.
Why would
Like,
you do that? Yeah.
That's nuts. Oh yeah, I am nuts. Oh well, you're a millionaire. Like, you can't be nuts.
Right.
It's completely unexpected. Well, I mean, what's his name? The Detective Kimball said that when they were sitting around at lunch the second time. They were sitting there. He's like, yeah, and to think, I mean, it's silly. It's impossible, right? That somebody could, a friend of his could murder a friend of his or whatever.
Yeah.
It's impossible. Is it?
Is it? Yeah. Makes you wonder.
Well, consistent with his usual schedule, he meets for lunch with his coworkers. At lunch, Patrick runs into his attorney who, after hearing his confession again, assures Patrick that his story just isn't possible, as he claims to have had dinner with Paul Allen while he was in London. Patrick's story ends with him being unsure as to whether everything he's done was real or just a dream.
And he does go on and call Chloe Savini's character, his what was her name? His secretary.
Yeah.
Jean. And he starts telling her all this crazy shit too. And he's on the phone, he's like losing it, dropping quarters at a payphone, for those who know what a payphone is.
Yeah.
Right.
And then she goes and does her own investigating and sees his sketchbook, which is just, he's supposed to be, doing work again.
It's in his day planner.
Yeah, and his day planner is just pictures of dead people.
Gnarly sketches.
Yeah, just sick, like a lot of women, like, well, who was that we talked about who used to do sketches like that?
In one of the crimes?
In one of our true crimes. They found it in his room,
I don't remember.
and he had the pictures of, he was a good,
Samuel Little.
yeah, he was
Yeah.
a sketch artist and had these pictures of these women.
That's right. When they called him, then he would sketch them, but he was like really talented artist. Christian
Samuel
Bale.
L.
Yeah, Samuel L.
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale was not that talented.
Not that talented,
Those drawings I saw.
So, it's interesting that his attorney thinks that Bateman is someone else. So again, his confession meant nothing. His attorney thinks that Bateman is someone else. It actually takes Bateman to convince his attorney, like slapping him around, like, look, I'm Patrick Bateman.
Right.
I'm Patrick. And so finally, the attorney gets it. Okay, man, you're Patrick Bateman. But I can't believe your story because I had lunch or dinner with Paul Allen in London. Again, this is another issue of mistaken identity. I'm sure he thought it was Paul Allen,
But it was.
but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Or he was like, Davis, what the hell? He's like, Bateman. He's like, well, that doofus wouldn't do anything or
Right.
something like that.
There was numerous times where
Yeah.
they described Bateman as a nerd or this or that during the movie, like other people.
Which they said too was Bateman that Louis guy?
The gay one?
The gay guy.
Yeah, the gay guy with who he was banging his girlfriend supposedly, or was that like really his was Bateman
Him.
banging? Like, yeah,
His
that was
own
another
girl,
weird part
yeah.
because he goes in the bathroom with the Louis guy, and he's like, "Oh, I've been waiting for this Bateman,"
Right.
and then all of a sudden, like the Louis guy just you don't hear anything else about it, like that.
And he washes his hands with the gloves on.
Yeah, it's like
It's so
strange.
Lewis, I'm almost positive. So that Lewis, the gay guy, I'm pretty sure he was included in the list of people
That was at the
that
restaurant.
that Bateman mentioned during his confession. I'm pretty sure he said Lewis.
Okay.
Like he went on to kill
He
him.
killed him.
Okay, okay,
damn
that
sure.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we only brushed on that, or I only brushed on that. So at that restaurant, they're all having lunch, or whatever. he sees Lewis's card, and Lewis's card is like the most dynamic of
gold,
the
yeah.
gold,
The gold lettering, which was like,
With
he couldn't stand it.
there was a subtlety of a green shadow around it too. Like it was a multicolored card. Like it was crazy cool. And so this is where Patrick just loses his mind and goes to the bathroom to try to strangle him. But then we find out that, Lewis is homosexual and actually is like, dude, I've wanted this for so long.
He starts like kissing under his glove.
choking. He went,
So
Bateman's like,
fucking
he's
weird.
just standing there like, ugh.
yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like they said, in just from reading on this, like, was that kind of how his character was? Was this like Lewis? Was that Davis?
So I never, and I guess you asked the question in the beginning, and I guess I'm going to now finally answer it. Like, what did I really think this movie was? So I never took it at all to think that he was in the mind someone else. I never thought that, like that he was imagining this. I really just think this whole movie, it's a double look at just consistent mistaken identity. And it's just a reminder that no one really knows who Patrick Bateman is, either figuratively or literally.
And you guys said they all look the same at this time.
That's
so
right.
In a group that's outside of this group, you would look at them and be like, all them dudes look the same.
Yeah. All of this is just a bunch of shallow people who are lucky if they know somebody else's name.
Wearing the same designer suits, same watches, except him, which we'll get into. They're all, like he said, I can get that. I can look at it that way.
But from the outside, you wouldn't know who they would all look the same.
Right.
Yeah.
You'd be like, I don't know, that's that guy in a lineup because they all had the same hair. Like, yeah, he's like, oh, he actually gets his hair done at the same barber.
Right.
Mine's better though. Like,
Except I have a slightly better haircut.
Yes.
We both go to the same barber. I just have a slightly better haircut.
but it's just one of them things. That's another good way to look at this story. Like, is it just mistaken identity the whole time?
Yeah, that's what I was like initially back when I first saw it. I just thought he was going crazy. This time watching it, I'm starting to think maybe some of it happened, maybe some didn't. Maybe some stuff was for real, some was kind of in his head. I don't know.
But now with the
I still don't know.
with what we do, like doing these vintage cinema reviews, we get a chance to research and we look back and we read things. And when we first see the movie, we're not sitting there like dissecting. That's what I thought. I thought this American Psycho, this guy's just psychotic.
Right.
The whole thing is in his mind, or is it like, oh, he killed these people, he didn't get caught? I don't know.
I think too, like now 23 years later and reading all the stuff on it and hearing other people's input on it, it's going to change what you think because you start to second guess like what you're thinking. Oh, I didn't look at it that way. Oh, and then you just, but yeah.
I'm looking forward to hearing that. And anyway, that's all I got on this movie.
Fun facts.
That's awesome.
That's fun. that is fun.
That's so. It sounds like we're in for some fun.
Yep, we're gonna have fun.
Yeah, that
fun
is.
with
That's
the
a lot of fun.
So let me get this one quick one out of the way because I know that you both have a shit ton of fun facts. The ashtrays that are featured on the tables in the restaurant scene in the very beginning of the movie. That's the scene where the total bill is like $570 or whatever. I have those ashtrays.
No way.
I do.
That's cool.
Unmistakable.
That's a fun fact you're not going to find anywhere.
No, sir. No, sir.
Does anybody
have
have the McDonald's? Anybody have any more?
the triad?
No. The McDonald's ashtrays.
No, Zap does.
I do.
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about?
No. We're talking at the beginning. They're glass.
Yes, those ones, the big heavy ones.
So in the beginning of this movie, there are glass ashtrays featured on the tables at that first restaurant. I have 2 or 3 of those ashtrays. But in addition, yes, I have McDonald's ashtrays as well.
Yes,
The old
those are cool.
the
Yes, the disposable ones.
I think
like
that came up on our first podcast together. Real
Yeah,
Genius. I think I remember him talking about that. That's why I'll never forget that. I was like, man, that guy keeps like the hold on that was pretty wise.
Dude,
think about it.
Those are probably money. Those are probably worth some cash.
When I came home one day, and when I'm saying like when I went to visit my parents,
Right.
and I had found that my mom had thrown away just so much shit of mine. I was so pissed. So I just hang on to anything and everything now.
That's cool. Then.
Anything and everything.
Just put stuff in a box and put it in the garage.
Well, so So I had held boxes at my, just kept them at my parents' house. I mean, like, I'm young, moving around, doing whatever. Yeah. So they ended up ditching like half of my boxes.
Oh, shit.
Jesus. Like all my bunch of old toys, bunch of old shit. I can't get into it.
Fun fact. I don't know if this is really a fact, but the artwork, I like dug that thing. And like, I didn't know who that was. So I looked it up. I don't know if it was something for like the
in his
film
apartment and stuff. You mean?
Yeah. It's a charcoal drawing that they're on either side of his room there in his apartment, but they're by Robert Longo, and they're called Men in the Cities. And it's a series he had in 1983, which depicts sharply dressed men and women writhing in contorted emotion.
That's cool. I like that.
So
and,
yeah.
And speaking of that, I'll lead mine off with a fun fact you're probably not going to find. You could find it if you dig for it, but we all know, well, you guys know, and maybe some of the listeners, I'm in the AV gear. So I look at artwork as in his apartment as the AV gear.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked it up and tracked it down. And the amplifiers were Harman Kardon, which we heard of that brand, and Pioneer. And the speakers is a brand called Kef. It's a British loudspeaker company. And they were Kef 105s, a well-known speaker by Kef back in the 80s. And they were in rosewood color. Now, speaking of Kef, they have a speaker currently. I thought this would be an interesting little tidbit. It's called the Kef Muon. And the retail price is $224,999 for a pair of the Kef Muons.
$224,000
For
So
a
you're
pair.
talking
224
right,
Yes.
000.
close to $250,000.
Yep, it's a dollar.
Jesus.
That's $1 less than $225,000. So these speakers are 115 pounds each, and they stand about 6'6" tall. Now, if you can't afford that,
No.
Which I can't.
someday this is our first podcast here on the Vintage Cinema, so you never know. We might have a set down here in the basement.
That's fair.
You can drop down to. It's called the. Let me find it here. Oh, the Kef Blade 1. And that's their next speaker down. That's $35,000 for the pair. So
Jesus.
or you can get Kef. I mean, Kef makes very good speakers. I actually deal in them in my side job, and you can get ones that are a little more reasonable, like a couple grand or grand for a pair. But they make a good speaker.
Meth versus Kef.
Yeah, but I thought that was interesting to look at the audio equipment that he had back then, because in the 80s,
Oh, yeah, man.
that was a state of the art.
And where is Kef? Is British, you said, or
It's a British loudspeaker company. Yeah,
which Christian Bale was British, so maybe he asked for those
yeah.
because he was like, if I was super rich, I'd want a set of these, and they were like, sure, it's a movie.
Yeah, could be. But I just thought that was interesting. I like AV stuff. It was a Pioneer CD player too in there, but everything else was Harman Kardon.
Very cool. Very
Popular.
Yep.
Cool. What do you guys at?
I'm relying on you guys for fun
okay.
facts.
Tom Cruise. Anybody know about that?
Yes.
I hear he's 5 foot tall.
He's 4'7.5".
Okay.
Actually, but that is who the writer director. That's who they based Christian Bale's character on.
Well, Christian Bale based how.
How to play it on. Tom Cruise is who he depicted in his mind.
Oh, I see. I see.
There's people that say that it was off a David Letterman interview that he did, and it
But wasn't that after the?
But that was in 2003.
Yeah.
That interview where he went kind of crazy and was jumping around on the Letterman set. But there was an interview on Rosie O'Donnell that would have aired before this movie started filming, and they think maybe he got it from that interview.
Is that where he was like, "I love her," or is that the Letterman one?
I'm not sure which one was which, but
That was the Letterman one.
Okay,
Yeah.
He's jumping all over. Oh, I'm getting married, or I love this woman. I'm in love. I'm in love. Yeah.
Right. So initially, this movie was going to be filmed, and they had Leonardo DiCaprio picked out to star in it, and that's why that budget was going to be a lot more. He was looking for about $21 million to play the lead part.
God damn.
For DiCaprio to do it, and that would have upped it. At that point, actually, they had fired this Mary Harron. Is that how you say it? Harron, or whatever. And they brought on what was his name? I know Oliver Stone was up for it too, but there was another Cronenberg, I think it was.
Okay.
Was when Leo was attached to it, and then they couldn't figure it out. I guess they had the script wasn't looking good, this and that, and he got back out, and they brought her back on, but she's like, look, I'm not doing it unless I do it with Christian Bale. Like, I want him as the part. Ewan McGregor was up for it. They wanted to give it to him. And supposedly Christian Bale went to him and said, look, don't take this role. I want it. And kind of said, like, I want to do this role. I've been preparing for the past 9 months, turning down stuff because he knew I want to do this role. So
they I guess friends, family, a lot of other people in the business were telling him to not do that.
yeah,
They said give it to somebody else,
ruin your career,
because he was still kind of young in his career.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad it went to Christian Bale. I'm actually even happier that it did not go to Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, he was coming off Titanic. That was the other theory that they had. So Christian Bale's dad was engaged to Gloria Steinem.
Okay.
And at this time, now this is all rumor mill. There's no way to tell for sure if this is true. There's people that say that Gloria Steinem invited DiCaprio to a Yankees game and said, hey, don't do that role. You just come off the Titanic. You have a lot of like teenage girl fans.
Yeah, these girls would be like, this guy's
they're all going to come
nuts.
see this movie. It's a violent, ultra violent movie, this and that. Like, it's just not going to be good. And then he kind of backed out and decided not to do it. But could have it been ulterior motive so that her soon to be son-in-law, or, you know, not son-in-law, I'm sorry, her stepson would get the part, because they said that DiCaprio beat him out for Titanic and like 2 or 3 other movies. Christian Bale kept going up for these roles.
Was that like his Paul Allen?
Yes.
Yeah. You know what?
Wow.
Yes.
You know,
That's very good analogy.
yep.
I tried to analogize.
I think it was, I wonder, I should say, if it was thanks to his role as Patrick Bateman that Christian Bale got the role as Batman.
I'm sure it did.
Did you see a lot of Batman in this movie every so often?
Yeah.
Bale got a little Batman-y.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because
Okay.
he's a millionaire. Rich guy.
But
and-
like just like the way he talks sometimes, I was like, it's very Batman of him.
The way he does his American accent is special.
I love it.
Yeah, like there's, but you can tell that he's forcing it. Like I should say, you can tell that he speaks with an other accent.
Mm-hmm. I told Matt I
yes.
wish he talked like that all the time.
Sure.
I like when he talks like Patrick Bateman. I just like his delivery and stuff.
Did you guys see the Illusionist
Yes.
with
Yep.
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale and the other one? Who's the other guy?
Hugh Jackman.
Yes, great movie. If anybody is out there and wants to watch another Christian Bale movie, The Illusionist. Red Rubber Bowl.
This movie put him on the map for me, and I kind of went out and anything he would do, I'd go see. The
100%.
The Machinist.
100%.
I would have never
Machinist
saw
was very
that.
cool.
But Christian Bale, I'm like, I love this guy, like from American Psycho. I said, let me see that. Batman, when that came out, I was like, give this a shot. He was great. I mean, he's a great actor, and how he changes his physique. He got in like hella shape for this.
9 months.
180 pounds of like muscle and just kind of trained like a maniac. He said he had never lifted a weight or did any kind of training until he got the role for this movie. So I thought that was interesting.
I don't think I lifted a weight since this movie.
I was going to say,
No.
thank you. You took the words right out of my mouth.
I'm the reverse Christian Baling.
Yeah.
I'm bailing on weights.
He was jacked for this movie, though.
It was in great
Yeah.
shape.
He's
He
in good
watched
shape.
himself in the mirror as he was banging chicks
Like
That-
flexing. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Fantastic.
and recorded himself.
cool. Mm-hmm.
He did say that too in the movie, like this going back to the movie, but he said he has most of this stuff on tape. So,
And
that-
he even showed it to some of the victims.
yes,
Yeah.
that would have been something cool to. Well, they did have the American Psycho 2 with Mila Kunis.
Which had nothing to do. Do you
Yes.
know that movie? Did you see American Psycho 2?
I had zero desire to see it. I thought it was a slap to even come up with something like that.
So that movie was pretty much done, written, and the Mila Kunis movie, American Psycho 2, is what we're talking about. Had nothing to do with American Psycho at all. They wrote the little part in the beginning where she kills Patrick Bateman in order to make it a sequel and use the name.
No shit.
But it had nothing at all to do with this whole universe or anything like that.
Didn't that go straight to VHS? Like it was straight to video.
As far as I know, I remember him. I remember Matt calling me about it. Hey, they got a new American Psycho.
It was not what was expected.
and I don't even know if I did watch it or got through it or whatever.
It was horrible. Yeah.
Yeah. But I remember you telling me about it.
Because I saw that and I was hype. I was like,
Yeah.
Mila Kunis too was kind of big at the time with was that 70s show.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, this could be cool. Like I could see her playing like a Patrick Bateman type, but it was not, like you said,
Nothing like that.
They said Christian Bale. What was I going to say? Oh, he saw this. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier. Like this character was so unreal that he just kind of portrayed it as something that he would just try to make up as he went along. Like he didn't
Didn't really have a plan for it.
like no emotion. Like he just thought of it as something. Yeah, he didn't really have a plan. He just went in like, this is not real. So I'm just going to portray it like that.
So one of the biggest, the things that cost the most for this movie was the music rights. So all the music they used is a lot of the budget went to that.
Oh, it's all big money, big money music.
Yeah, because when DiCaprio dropped out, they were like, well, they said, we'll give you $10 million to use, you know what I mean? And they didn't even use, they were only up at $7 million.
Yep.
But the majority of that went to music, which, that was the thing too with the soundtrack. They had a Hip to Be Square in the movie. It was actually printed on the CD, like, you know, that they sent out 100,000 copies. Huey Lewis was like, yeah, no, I don't want that song on the soundtrack. They had to go and return 100,000 copies of that American Psycho soundtrack because they didn't have the rights. But the distributor, I guess, was just like, without thinking about it, like, yeah, just send it out, not knowing that it would get recalled because he would not agree. Now they said that there's
So he was cool with Back to the Future, but
right. Well, there was he had no problem with that. I think that was already planned out. But they had said that he didn't want it on there because of the violence in the movie. But I think he said that wasn't true. It was something to do with maybe the money or that side of it.
It usually boils down to the money. Most things in the industry, as they call it.
I know what it was. He was upset. Yeah, I think it was around the money, and I think he was upset that it was like his song, a couple other songs, and a lot of like dialogue. And he's like, well, like you're just kind of like reselling my song instead of it being part of a collaboration. Like I want more money, or it should be, because I'm basically that's the song that people are going to skip over the dialogue.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was interesting.
But yeah, Huey Lewis, after that fantastic career that he had, he's only worth like $25 million. And that's probably why he was more into the money. He's probably like, I need a little more for that.
Right.
I mean, I'll take 25 million
For the career he had, though.
Fair.
I'm just saying, I was thinking more of around 100.
Yeah.
And he'd be in that general ballpark. Because like what, who's like worth like 100 million? I saw like The Weeknd or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude's worth like 100 million. I was like, what did he do?
It's a lot of clicks.
Yeah.
But then like, yeah, Huey Lewis, I thought be up there, but he's not. Oh, so you were talking about music. It was turned into a Broadway musical, American Psycho.
Yeah, and the guy that Matt Smith played from Doctor Who.
Yeah.
He played the Patrick Bateman character.
No shit.
Mhm.
I did not know that it was a Broadway show.
Yeah.
Nor that I know that Matt Smith obviously didn't know that he was in it.
Yeah.
He's cool.
Did you guys, either of you read the book?
No.
Nope.
Neither did I, but I did go in and read some excerpts from the book because that was all the talk when I started looking into this movie, how violent the book is.
Mm-hmm.
And if they would actually have made the book into the movie like as it was, it would be X-rated because there's so many more violent scenes that they took out.
Gory as hell. And
there was children being murdered, a child murdered, like a lot of torture stuff. I mean, I read the one thing that the one he killed the one prostitute. They would have never been able to do that in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you go look up American Psycho book worst parts or whatever, it'll show you online. So it's definitely crazy stuff.
A cool thing about Willem Dafoe in this movie is if you look at the way that he interacts with Bateman throughout the movie, he did the scenes in 3 parts each.
Yep.
So one as if he knew that Bateman murdered Alan, so he would film one like that. One as if he had some sort of suspicion that maybe he wasn't involved. And then at the very no clue, like this guy didn't do it at all. We're just like buddies.
He's just asking questions.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's like some scenes that look like he knows he did it. And there's one like where Bateman's like super nervous when they're at the restaurant where Defoe's acting like, I know you didn't do it, buddy. Like, why are you getting all weird? Like,
Right.
And I thought that was cool to read. And you can, as you see the movie, you can see that it was done like that.
Interesting.
Those parts where he's sweating too.
Yeah.
Like during the scenes, they said he could sweat like that, like almost on command.
That's crazy.
Like when he needed to during a scene, Christian Bale.
Huh.
I mean, he really is a great actor. He can do it all. But the designer stuff in this movie. So Rolex, all the guys in the movie are wearing Rolexes except Patrick Bateman. They would not allow him to, and it's in the book. They were like, we don't want our watch on a murderer in this movie. So when the one prostitute grabs his arm in bed, he's like, don't touch the watch.
Don't touch the watch. Yep.
In the book, it's don't touch the Rolex. So they had to change it. The same thing with like Calvin Klein. They had to take that out of the movie. And then Jean-Paul Gaultier,
Jean-Paul
whatever.
Gaultier.
That was the bag then that they said he was carrying the body out. So there was a lot of that stuff that.
What was the suit that him and Halberstrom, so we both had a fine affinity for this certain type of suit.
Yeah, I know that. It's not a name.
The way that they said it though was like really cool.
Yeah, it was like, man, I got to get one of those.
Yeah.
So in order for the sex scenes to get them right, Christian Bale actually sat down and watched porn with the director, and he drew a little stick figure sex characters just to show like the different positions that he'd like to do to kind of mimic like the.
So let me see if I got this straight. The director was a woman.
Yes.
So Christian Bale, who is a man,
yes,
sat with a director who was a woman
and watched
porn.
Yep.
Good for them.
Yeah. That sounds like a fun afternoon.
It's for the art. You know what I mean?
I have to return some videotapes.
Which again too, like Bale was really into the porn. Like he had that a lot in the background. He was into porn and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Cerruti. That was the suit. Cerruti.
Oh, okay.
If you say, I thought it was something
I thought you
else.
said Nosferatu. I don't know where
But it says
vampire
here
got
that
into this.
it says it was CERRUTI.
I trust you.
Maybe it was pronounced something else. I don't know.
Skabuchki.
Yeah. All right, so we like to talk about people that could have been in the movie.
Yes.
So Drew Barrymore, Liv Tyler were two that were up for the
Evelyn, I
female
think.
role. Winona Ryder, they were trying to convince her to play the Evelyn Williams role.
Yeah, I think Reese Witherspoon fit that perfectly.
Yeah.
She just seemed like that rich girl from like Money.
Yep.
We had nothing. She didn't do anything. Just hung out with Christian Bale.
Yep.
What's our fun fact now? It's not do-do-do-do-do-do. It's boop, boop-a-doop-boop-doop. What the hell is that?
It's just bum bum.
Okay, I got
It's
you.
a drum roll. Bum bum.
So the Leonardo DiCaprio was tied to Oliver Stone. I think it was David Cronenberg. Brad Pitt was tied to this movie when he was supposed to do it. And at the end, there was going to be a rooftop musical scene at the end on top of the World Trade Center. And it was like real cheesy and corny. They were like, this.
Oh, with Barry Manilow.
What's that?
With Barry Manilow.
Is that what it was?
Yep.
The music at
Yep.
the end? Okay.
Yeah, the New York scenes were kind of cheesy in this when they showed, because it was done in Canada. Like they would show like when he was walking in New York with the Twin Towers in the background. That looked really bad.
That wasn't the Twin Towers.
What was it?
I know the buildings you're talking about. That was his office building. It just wasn't Twin Towers. You can tell immediately because the buildings, when they pan up to it, they're actually rectangular, whereas the Twin Towers were square.
Oh.
So lastly, we didn't really bring it up, but Norman Bates was the inspiration for the name of Patrick Bateman.
Oh.
Because if you look at American Psycho, the movie, Norman Bates, Bateman,
Yeah.
and it Norman, Bates, Bateman.
Yeah.
They connected like that. And
They call that
also,
a portmanteau.
yeah, that's it.
Cool.
And also Bateman, you can say later on became Batman. So you can connect it that way too. So, yeah.
You just blew my mind.
Nope.
Yeah, that
blow
was,
it up.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I think on the business cards and in the beginning of the movie, when they're showing the cast, the font they use is called Copper Plate Gothic font. So I'm thinking about using that for our
Copper plate.
V.C.R. I'm going to get some promo cards built up.
Copper plate.
Yeah,
Copper plate.
And I say we use that
Sure.
just as
Copper plate Gothic font.
Yep.
Copper plate Gothic
As an
font.
ode to American Psycho. So I guess, Zap, it's time to our rating system here. So we got late fee, return, or burn on this one.
Oh, I'm definitely going to late fee on this one. I'm milking this for as long as I possibly can.
All right. I can feel that.
Again, yeah, I would agree with Zap on the late fee. I would keep this for a night or two extra to like have some friends over, or maybe, I'm sure you would be like, dude, come check this movie out. Like I just rented this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just keep it an extra night. I'll pay the $3.50.
Hell yeah, man. I saw this in the theater 4 times.
Yeah.
I'm definitely up for paying a late fee.
What was the late fee for Blockbuster? It was like $2, or was it however much the movie was for an extra night?
I'm pretty sure it was like the value of if you were to rent it again.
Yeah.
And if it was like a new release, it was so it was like 5 something.
Dang.
it would add up. And I'm with you too. I'm late feeing this because I'm watching it again the next day. And I'm probably, if I have friends that haven't seen it, I'm like, you got to come see this movie. It's crazy. And I'm late feeing it and paying that money. I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun here on a Vintage Cinema when we have something that we all agree on, that we all like really like, that nobody like threw in there as something that we came up with.
Right.
And it's like we had some great banter on this.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
Yeah. Sharing is caring. Thank you.
That's it. Yeah. So we'll be back next week, definitely with a movie that we all love, hopefully. Maybe not. You never know. It could be one that one of us want to burn. You just never know, but yeah, that was a good one. You guys got anything else quick in closing?
I got nothing.
No, just excited to have everybody on this new platform on the Vintage Cinema Review.
Speaking of which, hit that 5-star rating. If you could, on Apple, you can leave us a written review. That really helps us out. We have social media listed under Old Dirty Basement, so you can find us over there. All the Vintage Cinema Review stuff will be listed under that. So go over there, hit that like and follow, let a friend know, spread the word. That's what we're looking to do, grow this thing. And I guess that's it for now. So we'll catch you where?
On the flip side.
If we don't see you sooner, we'll see you later.
Peace. Thanks for listening to the Vintage Cinema Review in the Old Dirty Basement. If you dig our theme music like we do, check out the Tsunami Experiment. Find them on Facebook. Their music is streaming on Spotify and Apple, and where great music is available.
You can find us at Old Dirty Basement on Facebook and Instagram, and at Old Dirty Basement Podcast on TikTok.
Peace.
We Audi 5000.